Ladies and gentlemen, faith over fear is the foundation of true strength in the face of adversity. Fear is the natural response when challenges arise, when enemies stand in the way, and when the road ahead seems uncertain. It whispers doubts, magnifies obstacles, and makes even the strongest feel weak. But faith is the counterforce, the unshakable belief that God's power is greater than anything that comes against you. It is the voice that says, "Keep going," when everything in you wants to turn back. It is the force that allows you to stand firm even when the storm rages around you. Fear thrives on uncertainty, feeding off the unknown. It asks, what if I fail? What if things don't work out? What if I'm not strong enough? But faith responds, what if God makes a way? What if this struggle is leading to something greater? What if my strength is not mine alone, but His working through me? Fear demands proof before it moves, while faith moves forward even when proof is nowhere to be found. Faith trusts in the unseen, believing that God is already at work even when there is no physical evidence yet. Throughout history, people who achieved the impossible were those who chose faith over fear. When David stood before Goliath, fear could have told him he was too small, too weak, and too inexperienced. But faith told him that the battle was not his to fight alone. When Moses stood before the Red Sea with an army chasing him, fear could have told him to surrender. But faith allowed him to lift his staff and watch God make a way where there was none. When Peter stepped out of the boat to walk on water, fear could have kept him frozen. But faith allowed him to take the first step. The power of faith is not just in believing that God exists, but in trusting that He is actively working in your life. It is easy to have faith when things are going well, but real faith is tested in the moments of uncertainty. It is in those moments when fear screams the loudest, trying to convince you that God has forgotten you, that the enemies surrounding you are too strong, and that your prayers are unheard. But faith knows better. Faith reminds you that God's silence does not mean absence. Faith reminds you that the battle is already won, even if the victory is not yet visible. Fear will try to paralyze you, keeping you stuck in doubt and hesitation. It will tell you to stay where it's safe, to avoid taking risks, and to never step outside of what is comfortable. But faith requires action. Faith demands movement. It pushes you beyond the limitations that fear tries to impose. It requires stepping out even when the outcome is unclear, trusting that God will provide exactly what is needed at the exact moment it is needed. There will always be moments in life when fear feels overwhelming. The enemy will try to convince you that you are not equipped, that you are not strong enough, that you do not have what it takes. But the truth is that you are not fighting alone. Faith is not about relying on your own strength, but about leaning on God's power. It is about recognizing that even in your weakness, He is strong. It is about surrendering control, knowing that His plan is greater than yours. Faith over fear does not mean the absence of fear. It does not mean that you will never feel doubt or uncertainty. But it does mean that fear will not have the final say. It means that even when fear is present, faith will be stronger. It means that even when the enemy tries to intimidate, you will stand firm. It means that even when circumstances seem impossible, you will hold on to the belief that nothing is impossible for God. Choosing faith over fear is a daily decision. It is choosing to believe that God's promises are true even when you cannot see them. It is choosing to trust that every battle, every challenge, and every obstacle is part of a greater purpose. It is choosing to move forward, knowing that with God, victory is already secured. The words we speak have power. They shape our reality, define our mindset, and set the tone for what we expect in life. What we declare over ourselves and our circumstances can either bring forth blessings or reinforce obstacles. Speaking breakthrough is not just about positive thinking. It is about aligning our words with God's promises and declaring them with conviction. When we speak with faith, we activate spiritual authority. We are not just hoping for change, we are commanding it into existence. Many people speak their fears more than their faith. They say things like, "I'll never make it," "This situation will never change," or "I'm not strong enough." These words reinforce the very struggles they wish to overcome. The more they declare failure, the more their mind and spirit accept it as truth. But faith-filled speech shifts the atmosphere. Instead of saying, "I can't," faith says, "With God, all things are possible." Instead of saying, "I am weak," faith declares, "The Lord is my strength." Instead of saying, "I don't see a way out," faith proclaims, "God is making a way where there seems to be none." Throughout history, those who experienced miracles first spoke them into existence. When Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead, he didn't just hope for life. He declared, "Lazarus, come forth." His words carried authority. When God created the heavens and the earth, he didn't simply imagine light. He said, "Let there be light," and it appeared. When the Israelites were trapped at the Red Sea, Moses didn't complain about the impossible situation. He lifted his staff and spoke God's deliverance. The power of spoken words is seen over and over again in Scripture, because words are not just sounds, they carry creative force. The enemy knows the power of words, which is why he works hard to fill minds with doubt, fear, and negativity. If he can get someone to speak against their own victory, he can weaken their faith. This is why complaining, doubting, and speaking negatively are such dangerous habits. Every word spoken in frustration or defeat plants a seed that can grow into a reality. But just as negative words can limit, faith-filled words can release blessings. Speaking breakthrough is about standing in the authority given by God and declaring His will over every situation. There is a difference between wishing and declaring. Wishing says, "I hope something good happens," but declaring says, "I know God is working, and I claim His promises." Wishing is passive, but declaring is active. It calls forth things that do not yet exist as though they do. It tells the mountain to move. It tells the storm to be still. It speaks healing, deliverance, favor, and protection even before they are visible. This kind of speech does not come from empty optimism, but from a deep trust in the Word of God. There will be times when speaking breakthrough feels unnatural. Circumstances may make it seem foolish to declare victory when defeat looks certain. But faith is not about what is seen. It is about what is believed. When Joshua and the Israelites marched around Jericho, the walls did not fall instantly. They had to walk in faith, speaking nothing but trust in God's instruction. It was not until they lifted their voices in a shout of victory that the walls collapsed. Their words, combined with faith, brought the breakthrough. Speaking breakthrough does not mean ignoring reality. It means acknowledging God's power over reality. A person can recognize that they are struggling while still declaring that God is their provider. They can see challenges but still proclaim that God is in control. It is about choosing to agree with God's promises rather than agreeing with fear. It is about choosing to believe that even in the waiting, even in the uncertainty, and even in the struggle, breakthrough is on the way. The key to speaking breakthrough is consistency. It is not a one-time declaration, but a lifestyle of faith-filled speech. It means waking up each day and speaking life over every area of struggle. It means refusing to let doubt take control of thoughts and words. It means standing firm even when there is no immediate change. Just as a seed takes time to grow after being planted, declarations of faith take time to manifest. But every word spoken in alignment with God's promises moves things in the spiritual realm. Obstacles are a natural part of life, and everyone faces them at some point. They come in different forms: financial struggles, broken relationships, health issues, fear, doubt, and opposition from others. Some obstacles seem small and manageable, while others feel like immovable mountains standing in the way of progress. When difficulties arise, it is easy to believe that they are permanent, that they define the future, and that they have the power to stop everything. But the truth is, obstacles are temporary. They are not the final word, and they do not have the power to hold back what God has planned. Every challenge has an expiration date. No storm lasts forever, no night is endless, and no battle continues without a conclusion. The enemy wants obstacles to feel overwhelming, to make people believe they are stuck and that nothing will ever change. But God's plan is greater, and His timing is perfect. Even the hardest struggles are only seasons, and seasons change. What may seem like a dead end is often just a detour leading to something greater. What may feel like a delay is often preparation for something bigger than expected. Throughout history, people have faced what appeared to be impossible situations, yet they overcame because they refused to see obstacles as permanent. When the Israelites stood before the Red Sea with Pharaoh's army closing in, it looked like the end. There was no visible way forward. But the sea was never meant to be a permanent barrier. It was only a temporary challenge that God would part at the right moment. When David faced Goliath, the giant looked undefeatable. To everyone watching, it seemed impossible. But Goliath was not an everlasting obstacle. He was just another step in David's journey to becoming king. When Paul and Silas were thrown into prison, locked in chains, it seemed like their ministry had come to a halt. But their imprisonment was temporary, and their breakthrough came as they worshiped in faith. Obstacles test faith, patience, and perseverance. They reveal character and refine purpose. If everything were easy, there would be no growth, no development, and no need for trust in God. Challenges are often the very things that prepare people for greater blessings. A delay can build endurance. A setback can teach valuable lessons. A rejection can redirect someone to something better. While the enemy uses obstacles to discourage, God uses them to strengthen. What may seem like a roadblock can actually be the training ground for something greater. The way obstacles are viewed determines how they are handled. Those who see challenges as final will give up too soon. They will allow fear to control their decisions and doubt to cloud their vision. But those who see obstacles as temporary remain focused on the bigger picture. They recognize that the struggle is not the end of the story. They continue to move forward even when progress feels slow. They keep praying, keep believing, and keep trusting that breakthrough is coming. God's promises are greater than any obstacle. No challenge is beyond His power, and no situation is too difficult for Him to turn around. Even when things seem impossible, He is still in control. What may appear to be a closed door can open at the right time. What may seem like a failure can lead to unexpected success. What may look like a season of struggle can become a testimony of victory. Obstacles are not meant to stop people. They are meant to shape them. They push people to rely on God more, to step out in faith, and to trust that He is working behind the scenes. The story of Joseph is a perfect example of how obstacles are temporary. He was sold into slavery, falsely accused, and thrown into prison. Every step of his journey seemed like another setback. But each obstacle was only temporary. What seemed like delays were actually steps leading him to his destiny. In the end, he rose to a position of power and was able to save countless lives. If he had given up in the pit or in the prison, he would never have reached the palace. No matter how big an obstacle may seem, it is never bigger than God. He specializes in making a way where there is none. He turns impossibilities into possibilities. He transforms struggles into testimonies. Even when the situation looks unchanged, it does not mean nothing is happening. Just as a seed grows beneath the soil before it breaks through the surface, breakthroughs often happen in the unseen before they are revealed. Every obstacle faced is just another opportunity for God to show His power. Prayer is more than just words spoken into the air. It is a powerful weapon, a shield of protection, and a direct line of communication with God. In times of struggle, uncertainty, or opposition, prayer is not a last resort but a first line of defense. Just as a soldier would never enter battle without armor, a person should never face life's challenges without being covered in prayer. It is through prayer that strength is renewed, direction is given, and battles are won. The enemy knows the power of prayer, which is why he tries to distract, discourage, or make people believe that their prayers are ineffective. He wants to fill minds with doubt, making it seem as if prayers go unanswered or unheard. But prayer is not about immediate results. It is about alignment with God's will. Every prayer spoken in faith shifts something in the spiritual realm, even if the effects are not immediately visible. Just because an answer has not arrived yet does not mean the prayer is powerless. In the Bible, prayer was always the key to victory. When Daniel was thrown into the lion's den, it was not his strength that saved him, but his consistent life of prayer. When Elijah prayed, fire fell from heaven. When Hezekiah prayed, an entire army was defeated without him lifting a sword. Jesus himself would often withdraw from the crowds to pray, showing that even the Son of God prioritized time with the Father. Prayer was never just a ritual. It was the source of power. One of the greatest tactics of the enemy is to make people underestimate the significance of prayer. He wants them to believe that they are alone, that no one is listening, and that their prayers do not matter. But when a person prays, they are calling upon the God who created the universe, the one who holds all power and authority. A single prayer, spoken in faith, can change the course of a situation. Prayer is not just about asking for things. It is about building a relationship with God. It is about seeking His presence, His wisdom, and His guidance. Many people only turn to prayer when they need something, but true power in prayer comes from consistency. A life that is built on daily prayer is a life that remains steady even when storms come. It is through prayer that peace is found, strength is renewed, and fear is removed. There are different types of prayer, each with its own purpose. There is the prayer of thanksgiving, where gratitude is expressed for all that God has done. There is the prayer of intercession, where one stands in the gap for others, praying on their behalf. There is the prayer of warfare, where strongholds are broken and the enemy's plans are defeated. There is the prayer of surrender, where control is handed over to God, trusting Him with the outcome. Each type of prayer is a tool in the spiritual arsenal, equipping believers to face whatever comes their way. One of the most powerful aspects of prayer is that it is not limited by time, distance, or circumstances. A prayer spoken today can impact a situation years from now. A prayer for someone on the other side of the world can reach them instantly. There are no barriers that can stop the power of a heartfelt prayer. This is why it is important to pray with boldness, believing that God is able to do exceedingly and abundantly more than what is asked. The Bible says to pray without ceasing, meaning that prayer should not be confined to specific moments or emergencies. It should be a lifestyle, a continuous conversation with God throughout the day. Prayer does not always have to be formal or structured. It can be as simple as speaking to God as a friend, sharing concerns, asking for guidance, and listening for His direction. In times of spiritual warfare, prayer is the greatest weapon. It is through prayer that fear is defeated, chains are broken, and breakthroughs are released. The enemy trembles at the prayers of a believer who knows their authority in Christ. When prayer is combined with faith, persistence, and trust in God's timing, there is nothing that can stand in the way of the blessings that are meant to come. Just as a soldier would never go into battle without armor, a person should never go into their daily life without being covered in prayer. It is what protects against attacks, strengthens in moments of weakness, and provides clarity in times of confusion. A strong prayer life is the foundation of an unshakable faith, and those who make prayer a priority will always be ready for whatever comes their way. Confidence is the outward expression of inner faith. It is the belief that what has been promised will come to pass, even when there is no visible evidence yet. Moving with confidence is not about arrogance or self-reliance. It is about walking in the assurance that God is leading the way. It is about knowing that every step taken in faith is supported by His power, His wisdom, and His unfailing love. When a person moves with confidence, they are not swayed by fear, doubt, or the opinions of others. They stand firm, knowing that their breakthrough is already set in motion. Fear tries to paralyze, making people hesitate, second-guess, and hold back from stepping into what they are called to do. It whispers lies, telling them they are not qualified, not strong enough, or not ready. But confidence in God silences those lies. It replaces fear with courage, hesitation with boldness, and uncertainty with faith. Moving with confidence means trusting that even when the path is unclear, God has already prepared the way. It means stepping forward without waiting for every detail to be figured out, knowing that divine provision will come at the right time. Many people wait for everything to be perfect before they take action. They wait for the right opportunity, the right circumstances, or the right signs. But true confidence moves even in uncertainty. It does not wait for the Red Sea to part before taking the first step. It does not wait for the giant to fall before stepping onto the battlefield. It does not wait for visible proof before believing in the promise. Confidence in God means taking the step first, knowing that He will make a way. Throughout history, the people who saw the greatest breakthroughs were those who moved with confidence. When Peter stepped out of the boat to walk on water, he did not have a safety net. He moved because Jesus told him to come. The moment he allowed doubt to creep in, he began to sink. This shows that confidence is not just about stepping out in faith, but also about maintaining that faith, even when circumstances try to shake it. The moment a person allows fear to take over, they start losing the stability that comes with trust in God. Confidence does not mean the absence of obstacles. It does not mean everything will always go smoothly. But it does mean that even in the face of challenges, there is no need to retreat. When Joshua and the Israelites were told to take possession of the Promised Land, they encountered opposition. There were walls, giants, and battles to fight. But their confidence was not in their own strength. It was in God's promise. Because they moved with confidence, the walls of Jericho fell, and the land was given to them. Had they hesitated, doubted, or turned back in fear, they would have missed out on their breakthrough. One of the greatest struggles people face is worrying about what others think. They allow the opinions of others to dictate their confidence. They hesitate because they fear criticism, rejection, or failure. But true confidence does not come from people's approval. It comes from knowing who God is. When David faced Goliath, many doubted him. His own brothers mocked him. The soldiers around him saw only his inexperience. But David did not let their opinions shape his confidence. He moved forward, not in his own strength, but in the strength of the Lord. This is the kind of confidence that leads to victory. Confidence also requires persistence. It is not just about stepping out once, It is about continuing to move forward even when progress is slow. Some breakthroughs do not happen immediately. Some battles take time to win. The enemy will try to discourage, to make people feel as if nothing is changing. But confidence says, I will not stop. I will not give up. I will keep moving because I know that God is working. It is about holding on to faith even in the waiting. Doubt and hesitation often come from focusing on limitations rather than on God's unlimited power. Many times, people disqualify themselves because they see their flaws, weaknesses, and mistakes. They think they are not ready or not good enough. But confidence in God is not about personal perfection. It is about his ability to use imperfect people. Moses doubted himself because he was not a great speaker, yet God used him to lead an entire nation. Gideon saw himself as the weakest, yet God called him a mighty warrior. Confidence is not about what a person can do alone. It is about trusting in what God can do through them. Walking in confidence means holding on to faith even when nothing makes sense. It means stepping into opportunities that seem too big, facing challenges that seem too difficult, and believing in promises that seem too far away. It means trusting that the same God who has brought victories before will do it again. It is about moving forward with the certainty that what has been declared in faith will come to pass, not because of personal. Victory is not just an event that happens one day. It is a mindset, a way of living, and a reflection of faith in God's promises. Living in victory means walking with the confidence that battles have already been won, that every struggle has a purpose, and that breakthrough is inevitable. It is the understanding that no challenge is greater than God's power, and that no opposition can stop his plan. Victory is not about avoiding difficulties. It is about overcoming them with unwavering faith. It is about knowing that setbacks are setups for greater blessings, and that nothing is wasted in God's hands. Many people live as if they are constantly trying to achieve victory, as if they are fighting an endless battle with no assurance of winning. But the truth is, victory has already been secured. The enemy has already been defeated, and God's promises are already in motion. Living in victory means walking in that truth every day. It means refusing to accept defeat, no matter how strong the opposition may seem. It means understanding that trials are temporary, but God's faithfulness is eternal. Living in victory does not mean that struggles disappear overnight. It does not mean that there will never be obstacles, hardships, or moments of doubt. But it does mean that even in the middle of the battle, there is an unshakable assurance that God is working things out for good. It means standing firm when circumstances try to shake faith, declaring God's promises even when nothing seems to be changing, and holding on to hope when the enemy tries to bring fear. Victory is not based on emotions or circumstances. It is based on the unchanging truth of who God is. One of the biggest barriers to living in victory is a defeated mindset. Many people allow past failures, disappointments, or struggles to shape their expectations for the future. They assume that because things have been difficult before, they will always be difficult. They carry the weight of past mistakes, allowing guilt and shame to hold them back. But living in victory means letting go of the past and embracing the new things God is doing. It means believing that he is a God of restoration, redemption, and new beginnings. It means refusing to be defined by past struggles and instead choosing to step into the future with confidence. Victory is not about never facing challenges. It is about knowing that challenges cannot win. It is about having the mindset that no matter what comes, God is greater. The enemy will always try to create fear, discouragement, and doubt. But those who live in victory do not allow those things to take root. They do not give power to fear. They do not let setbacks define them. They keep moving forward, knowing that every battle is another opportunity for God to show his power. Living in victory also means speaking victory. Words have power, and those who declare defeat will often experience it. But those who declare breakthrough, favor, and success align their words with God's truth. Speaking victory is not about denying reality. It is about choosing to agree with God's promises rather than agreeing with fear. It is about declaring that healing is coming, that provision is on the way, that doors will open, and that no weapon formed against them will prosper. Another key to living in victory is surrounding oneself with faith-filled people. The people who are closest have a great influence on mindset, faith, and expectations. Those who constantly speak negativity, doubt, and fear can weaken confidence, but those who encourage, uplift, and remind of God's faithfulness help strengthen faith. Victory is often a team effort. and walking with those who also believe in breakthrough makes the journey easier. Living in victory means staying in alignment with God's will. It means walking in obedience, following His direction, and trusting His timing. Sometimes the breakthrough is delayed because God is preparing something greater. Sometimes the answer does not come right away because there is a lesson in the waiting. But those who trust in God's plan will always see His promises fulfilled. There is a difference between visiting victory and living in victory. Some people experience moments of success and think they have won, only to fall back into old patterns of fear and doubt. But those who live in victory understand that it is not just about a single breakthrough, it is about a lifestyle of faith, perseverance, and trust in God. It is about waking up every day and choosing to believe that no matter what happens, God is in control, and His plans are good. It is about keeping the focus on His promises rather than on temporary challenges. Living in victory is not about waiting for circumstances to change before believing in success. It is about deciding in advance that nothing can stop what God has already set in motion. It is about walking with boldness, confidence,